I'm Steve Hecht, editor-at-large of the Impunity Observer, and I am going to read one of my recent articles entitled How Marco Rubio is Blocking His Path to the Presidency. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's lack of attention to Guatemala risks producing a dictatorship aligned with Venezuela and other anti-U.S. countries. This will contradict his image as an anti-communist advocate and undermine his likely campaign for president. On December 12, 2023, Rubio joined Democrats Senator Bill Cassidy and international organizations in criticizing Guatemalan prosecutors for moving to strip then-President-elect Bernardo Arevaló's immunity. They claimed this threatened Guatemala's democracy and urged Attorney General Consuelo Porras to uphold the rule of law and peaceful transfer of power. But the case against Arévalo was real. Invaders had occupied the state university for over a year, causing vandalism and chaos. When authorities asked Porras to investigate, documentary proof implicated Arévalo. Democrats insisted nobody is above the law when persecuting Donald Trump. However, as we are seeing now, Democrats care only about power, not democracy or the United States. They push one-party rule at home and abroad. Rubio should have known this before joining them. In 2021, Rubio himself said, "If we don't confront Marxism now, call it for what it is and defeat it, it will destroy this country and everything that has made it special." Yet his support for Arévalo, despite clear signs of criminality, is puzzling. Arévalo's Semilla party openly embraces socialist ideology, blaming odious inequalities generated by uncontrolled capitalism. As Secretary of State, Rubio legitimized Arévalo on his visit to Guatemala, praising his commitment to democracy while shunning Porras, the only authority with power to extradite transnational criminals to the United States. Under Rubio's name, the State Department falsely reported in March that Arévalo's regime is a U.S. ally and that Guatemala is a counter-narcotics partner. This despite cocaine shipments from Guatemala being intercepted in the Dominican Republic and Spain. On June 8th, Guatemalan authorities stood idle as presumed traffickers opened fire on Mexican forces who had chased them into Guatemala. NGOs later filed charges for dereliction of duty against defense and interior ministers. But Arévalo shielded them. One rule of law organization warns, Arévalo is systematically converting Guatemala from a republic to a Puebla group one-party state. Arévalo has even extended his defense minister's term past the legal deadline, eroding military cohesion and shifting the Army's loyalty from the Constitution to the President, as in Cuba and Venezuela. Most likely, Rubio's unaware of how disastrous this situation is for his political future. Permanent State Department bureaucrats and misguided advisors have led him astray. Unless the law is applied to Arévalo, he will consolidate power in 2026 and steal the 2027 election for his globalist masters. The U.S. ambassador in Guatemala is actively supporting this outcome. Rubio has decades left to seek the presidency, but if he wants to help his country, Trump, and his own career, he must correct his mistake with Arévalo, restoring Guatemala as a U.S. ally instead of a pawn of the Puebla group. If you want to see more about this, you can go to www.impunityobserver.com and look at it and all the other very interesting and important information that appears on the website.